Moving on to other business B. So this is our FY 27 to 29 Economic Development Plan as presented by Brett Richardson.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I just sent a request to Tom. So I've got the next two items. Excited to share the economic development plan. As Joanna just laid out, we're thinking about this in a 3-year window. And we can walk through some of the nuts and bolts, but hopefully you had a chance to take a look at the memo in the packet. And let's see if Tom can get this. Oh, I'm good now. Let's see what I can find the link here. Uh, I haven't used Zoom in a while. It's usually been Teams.
Did you find it?
Uh, Not yet.
You found the share button?
I found the share button. Huh. Let me see if I can go through a folder. Thanks for your patience here. No, I'll go this way.
Here, we can see your screen, just so you know.
All right, appreciate that. I will navigate down here. This is my presentations folder for you guys. Right. You see that?
We see that you selected.
But it didn't open up.
Oh, really? Can you see that now?
No.
Did you share the screen or this window?
It says you are screen sharing. I'll stop share. How's that?
Yep.
Got it.
All right, good. Thanks for your patience there. Kind of a throwback to 2022, to our 2020 actually. So I'm going to walk you through the plan. If you had a chance to take a look at it, I think you're going to find that it's really pretty similar to the work that we've done in the past. But just for folks who are tuning in, why is it important to invest in economic development? Economic development helps support a high quality of life in Freeport with employment options, helps to preserve the local tax base and keep it diverse, where we have a good mix of commercial and residential. By having good employers, good businesses to visit, it also helps to protect local property values, is attractive to employers and businesses by positioning Freeport as a great place to live, work, and play, and helps to maintain that or diversify our economic base. So it's really sort of a pillar of good municipal operations is to have a strong economic development plan that keeps the community moving forward with resources to invest in a great place. So the goal of this plan really comes out of the community's vision, the comprehensive plan that was just endorsed and approved, the downtown vision, even the climate action plan and the active living plan, not to mention the village corridor initiative and the transit-oriented development work that we're doing. And so our goal really is to help local businesses and employers to thrive locally. We want to attract new businesses, which we'll talk about in a minute, with a particular focus at this point in time on national and regional brands. We want to diversify our local housing options. We've talked a lot about housing, and the comp plan speaks to it quite a bit, how important it is to the future of Freeport. And so that's one of our big goals, is to diversify housing. Infrastructure is key. It's good for quality of life. It also shows the private sector that the town is investing in itself and is going to be a good partner through public-private partnerships. So our infrastructure is a key part of this goal, up to this plan. Multimodal transportation access. Councilor Benoit just mentioned the benefits of having visitors come not only by car, but also by bus or transit. We're well served by those amenities, and we need to maintain and invest in them. We want to attract visitors with diverse experiences and attractive places to visit and hang out. And we also want to provide and continue to work towards a business-friendly experience through coordination of codes and planning with an economic development lens. So those are our goals for the next few years, which I think are pretty consistent with what you guys have seen us carrying out over the last year or two. How are we going to fund this economic development plan? It's really based on TIF funding. Sophie just noted that our partner at Bernstein Sure has submitted the Village Corridor TIF, which you can see there, is hopefully going to be approved soon, and it repurposes a couple of older districts that were expiring into a new development program that allows us to invest in not only economic development, but public infrastructure and amenities that the town would like to see and has vetted in their plans. It's important to note that as we think about this budget, which we'll get into a little bit deeper later on in the presentation, the goal here is to give you a context. If we're going to have a certain amount of revenue to invest through TIF funding, which has advantages, which we've talked about, by using TIF funds for this purpose, we avoid county taxes and other things that would impact general fund revenues. So there's a baked-in benefit to using TIF funds for this activity. And then also to give you context, what we're proposing here is an allocation of about 25% of the TIF revenue towards economic development and about 75% reserved for public infrastructure and amenities that are prioritized on a rolling basis through the town's capital budgeting process. So we have revenues coming from the Village Corridor TIF. We also have revenues that from the Concord Gully TIF, which was the Bean headquarters update. And then we've also baked in some revenues for a new transit-oriented development district that we've talked about. And we anticipate that with some of the activity on Depot Street and other areas within the Village Corridor Initiative study area, that we're going to start to see some benefit in this in 2028. And just to be clear, that TOD, the new revenue, is based on 50% shelter rate of one project. And then we'll bump up over time as we see more projects come in. So relatively conservative from a starting point, but also you see it kicks in some support that's beneficial here. But the key takeaway is we've got these revenues largely in the pipeline, if not already accruing. And the allocation is based on 25% to economic development, 75% to infrastructure and other activities. The goals, what are we going to focus on? How are we going to spend our time, and what are the outcomes that we want to generate for the community and the taxpayer? We want to see 70 new housing units developed annually over the course of this plan within the designated growth areas of the comprehensive plan. What that means is that these will largely be on existing infrastructure. And we know that from the GPCOG fiscal impact analysis that when we do infill development on existing infrastructure, we get a lot of benefits from that. And so we want to set a goal of 70 new housing units, not only throughout the town, but specifically within our designated growth areas annually. We want to help the commercial sector through a matching grant program that you're familiar with as FitUp, revitalize or update 10,000 square feet of commercial space annually. We want to act on some of the conversations that we've had locally about supporting local entrepreneurs through a program and some networking and some cohort and some training and technical assistance for local entrepreneurs, 10 of those folks a year. We want to successfully execute the Village Corridor Initiative. And what that means is that coming out the backside of this process, that the Freeport community with the council and Complete Streets and the planning board and all the relevant players have reached consensus on a vision for the corridor, including investment priorities. So that's a big goal for this plan, is that we continue to work towards consensus that allows the community to invest in updates that will move the community forward. We want to manage effectively our TIF districts and to support transportation upgrades, infrastructure, and private-public partnerships. Not only managing carefully the resources that we've already have in place and in the pipeline, but also being smart about that next district that we've talked about for the next year. And then to round it out from an attraction and marketing standpoint, this plan includes continuing partnership with the Freeport Economic Development Corporation with a specific focus on bringing to town annually 3 to 5 national or regional brands to diversify our mix of local businesses as well as cultural amenities. So that's the goals that we're focused on here as we start to think about the activities that we'll invest and carry out to execute these goals. Any questions about those goals at this point, or does that all make sense so far? Make sense? All right, we'll keep moving. So the core activities, there's a fair amount of detail, hopefully, within the document itself that was in the council agenda. But we want to focus on business retention and expansion, new development, entrepreneurship support, policy infrastructure and planning, and then marketing and attraction. BRE, business retention and expansion. I think you've seen a couple of examples of that recently with AEC Engineering and Maine Beer Company, two great local employers who were looking to expand. They needed some help with local land use ordinances. I think through the good relationship we've in the open communication pipeline we've had with businesses like AEC and Maine Beer and others, we understand their needs upstream of decision points for them about where they want to invest and grow, and then we can help remove barriers. So business retention and expansion is a big part of it, staying in touch with the local business community, understanding their needs, and getting ahead of it. Development, we want to facilitate new business and housing development. We want to be known throughout the region as a good place to do business through clear and predictable approval processes, high quality public infrastructure, and then targeted financial incentives. So we want to attract the kind of development that's called for in the comp plan, downtown vision plan, that will also support the climate action plan through dense infill development, as well as the active living plan. Entrepreneurship support. What we've laid out in this plan is an initial step to build a platform that we can build on. Essentially, we will leverage the free and pro bono technical assistance providers throughout the region. There's many of them. They're looking to support local entrepreneurs. We'll package up a program. We'll invite entrepreneurs in. We'll recruit a nice group. We'll work through a process of shared learning and have some fun. And at the end of that, we'll have a pitch contest with a cash prize for a judged, winner. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think it's a way for us to start the work that we've talked about for a couple of years on the Fit Up Committee, as well as the local chamber and FEDC, and just start a step in that direction and see where it goes and continue to leverage all the expertise that we have in Freeport. We were talking about it the other day, and there's a lot of great successful folks in Freeport that could be mentors, and an opportunity to create a program that not only supports local entrepreneurs, but pulls in some of these experts into the discussion will be beneficial for the long term. Policy, infrastructure, and planning. I think we're seeing that with the Village Corridor Initiative. We're seeing that with the support for the housing project on Depot Street with the stormwater support. We want to have good integrated land use, infrastructure, and financial tools that is at the council's disposal to make good decisions to support good projects. And then lastly, marketing and attraction. We propose in this plan to carry forward the relationship with FEDC for another 3 years based on their allocation over the last year for the support they provided. So that's the core activities. The budget, let me move my Brady Bunch screen so I can see that. This lays out in greater detail over 3 years the revenue. So the TIFs that we talked about earlier, the budget allocation, 25% to economic development, 75% towards administration and public infrastructure. Economic development is about $250,000 a year over the next 3 years. And then we would use that for staff, for grants and programs that fit up in the entrepreneurship work, as well as contracting with FEDC. To put it in context, that investment leaves for other uses close to $750,000 a year annually. And we're leaving that up in this to be discussed in further detail during the capital budgeting process. But it's also worth noting that we're very confident that we're going to be able to offset with TIF funds some of the staff administration from the finance director, assessing, town manager's office, and all the great work that Public Works does through managing these projects that are relevant to the TIF, that we can start to offset some of the wages that otherwise would come out of the general fund. So that's a nice advantage too. So this budget lays out a 3-year snapshot that hopefully shows you that we've got the revenues. We're being thoughtful about how we're proposing to allocate those revenues. We're investing in some good programs that we've seen traction with over the last couple of years with good partners, and that we're also being thoughtful about leaving enough of the pie for good infrastructure and to fulfill all the transportation, trail, and other work that we have in our pipeline. So that's the budget snapshot. And then the last slide that I have is the sort of allocation of staff time. So you can see it, those core activities all in one place. So business retention and expansion, staff expense, but no real program expense, development, sort of fit up grant program that we can use as a sweetener for businesses who are coming in, as well as technical support through the permitting and approval processes, entrepreneurship support, policy planning, and then marketing and outreach with our partner at FEDC. And that's essentially the presentation. I welcome questions if I can help with any answers.
Any questions or thoughts for Brett?
Yeah, Brett, I just want to be the first to say thanks for a really thoughtful plan. It's clear that it's not something you slapped together at the last minute, but that there's a lot of effort that went into it and a lot of thought. And I'm impressed by what you came out with. So I'm really thrilled about that. So thank you. And to anybody else who helped you do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I should note that we drafted this up and then had a chance to discuss it with the members of the Fit Up Committee, which is former town councilor Jake Daniele, Joanna, Becky Doughton, really thoughtful group, as well as a gentleman named Richard Gorvet, who's pretty active in the entrepreneurship space. So a great committee there that provided really good input, and then also had a chance to workshop it a few weeks ago with Mary Davis from FEDC and Tawny from the Chamber, and then a discussion at the FEDC board meeting today. So there's a lot of collaboration that went into this, and I think there's a lot of comfort with what we're proposing to do and what the goals are that we can be successful together.
Great work.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a really good job at pulling from the work, you're building on documents and discussions and plans and pulling out the important bits for now. Councillor Brown.
Just want to say, holy mackerel, great job. The annual goals stand out as just quite bold, and you start adding these numbers up after year 1, year 2. It's real change in such an organized way. So kudos to your amazing efforts in corralling all the talent to come up with such a bold plan. So thanks, Brett.
I have 2 small questions. I think they're easy ones. One is the plan, especially for the budget, allows for some flexibility, right? So if in year 2 we say we want 30% for economic development instead of 25%, we could certainly do that during our budget process. Yeah. Okay. So you're nodding. Thank you. And then the other.
Sorry to interrupt. Brett
Yep.
nodding. Sophie is saying no.
Oh.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry. Yeah.
the maximum we
Yeah.
can have is the 25%. That's statutory.
Oh, okay. So there is flexibility, but that 25% can't be changed. Can't go more than that.
Yep.
Correct.
25% is the max. How you want to configure that, or if you want to go lower, you could absolutely do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Sophie. That's a good catch. I think the other part of the question, outside the allocation of the funding, but the flexibility to learn and adapt, I think is, we want to be able to plan. We want to be able to have partners be able to plan with some predictability, but I do think that there'll continue to be space for learning together and adapting as we go.
Great. Second was not really a question, more of a request to sit down with you and whoever else wants to join to discuss the activities a little more, especially on the entrepreneurship side, to see if there's anything I can lend a hand with. Having been involved with a lot of different similar programs, some of which were successful, some of which were less successful. So would love to noodle on that with you in detail.
Yeah, count on that, Dan. You were top of the list. You might recall we sat in, I think, the Chamber's office maybe 2 years or so ago with Tawny and Richard and Jake. So this is kind of bringing that back, putting some shape to it, and being action oriented about it. So for sure.
Yep. And I remember Tony had a great idea for some kind of, maybe we called it an on-ramp at the time. And maybe this is what that evolved into, but yeah, that's great. Would love to look forward to the conversation.
Great.
Sophie, can I ask a follow-up question to your point of clarification? So what if, so within the 25%, do we have flexibility to spend it outside of the period of performance, like in the fiscal year? Or, so in theory, 1 year's expenditures could be 20% and the next year could be 30%, right?
So
Question.
I've never done it that way, Matt. Because I think you would want to have shown 25% and then make an argument to DECD. Because it is cumulative, but you can't look at it like over the life of the whole 20 years.
Yeah,
So I would say you'd be budgeting a maximum of 25. And then if you got towards the end and you had years that you had used a lot less, you could probably make the argument. But I've never seen it done that way. I've always seen it done on a budgetary basis
okay.
for the economic development pieces. If you have infrastructure pieces, that just has so much more flexibility with the statute.
Thanks.
The we talked about this, Brett, but I don't remember. The TOD, is that the same 25-75 split? Or is that a different?
It's a great question. We used 25% in this model.
Yeah.
We haven't pushed into that discussion just yet. That's a question to be determined.
Any other feedback or thoughts for Brett? Great job.
Thank you.